Okay. Good evening, everyone. 1 second. Okay. All right. So, this video is titled The Three Jewels in Buddhist Traditions with an S, comma, yay, exclamation. So, I have recently added to my book, which is not published, named My Own Religion, the Power of Love. And I added a chapter in that titled The Three Jewels. If people are familiar with that, what are they, class? The Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. So, going into this a little bit in my own perspective, I like sharing things from my own perspective because that's why I exist. So, the Buddha is the eternal. So, for example, so the eternity encapsulated in a form is basically the Buddha. So the Buddha is not necessarily a collection of experiences. It is not necessarily a soul. It is not necessarily anything in particular. It is eternity itself. And also, for some reason, there's a lot of joy in that. There's wisdom, there's understanding, what we would call enlightened consciousness. That's the Buddha. And then when that eternity becomes conscious, that's called enlightenedness, enlightened consciousness, right? Enlightenment. So to embody that as what is the Buddha. So essentially, making eternity have a home is what the Buddha is. Meaning that eternity exists, consciousness exists, but for it to be understood in a body is what the Buddha is. The Dharma. The Dharma is our karma for this life, if that's what you want to call it. It is our soul's path towards the Buddha. There's also something in the Japanese tradition called satori. Satori is essentially it's a grace given by God. Satori is when you get a peek at awakened consciousness as it is, devoid of over-identification with anything in particular. And then, I'm a Reiki master. So I am all up in that Japanese Zen stuff. Anyways, okay. So then we have the sangha. The sangha is community. So, for example, why are these three things essential? In order for essentially they're recipes for happiness. What do we need? Divine purpose. When do we need it? Now. How do I maintain it? The three jewels. divine purpose, also known as the hara in Japanese tradition. The hara is it's not necessarily an energy center, it's more of a point of focus. It keeps you, to me, I feel it keeps me feeling empty in a good way. Um, um, so instead of having energy frazzled, stop, hara it up. So, for example, right now I'm sitting with my hands like this, and they're over my hara, which I am not showing you. It's down here. It's below the belly button. Let's see. So, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. The Dharma is our divine purpose. The reason I brought up the hara is because the hara is linked inextricably with divine purpose as it is. So, for example, if you don't know what your divine purpose is, do focus on the hara. You will find a sense of non-judgment, a sense of healthy non-attachment, and you will find probably, most likely, some joy. And then I'm assuming if you go with it, if you go with the flow of that, and you realize that your hara is never not there, then you can trust it. And then as you trust it, you begin to live in alignment with source. Let's see. So the sangha. The sangha community. So I've visited several monastic communities, and also familiar with the convents with the females. They're not separate from that. And monastery. The definition of the word mona, monastery, a monk, M-O-N. If someone has mono, or a better example of that would be a mono speaker versus a stereo speaker. The idea of it means single. So when someone is a monk, what does that mean? It means that they are alone. That's what that means. And then in the tradition that they're based in, then they develop a sense of understanding of what it really means to be alone. That's actually what it means. But in order for there to be a true sangha, there also has to be a true sense of solitude, meaning aloneness, not loneliness, aloneness. So, for example, when I visited the monastery, I went and I had a room, and I stayed in that room. It was lovely, absolutely lovely. I have never done so much enjoyable, purposeful studying and reading of books. And I read the books. What were they? Healing Prayers. I read, what were the other ones? My Vocation is Love by Saint Therese of Lisieux. I read, not Healing Prayers. That's my page on Facebook. That's not a book yet. Nah. The Power of Prayer, The Healing Power of Prayer by Father Richard McAleer. I think his first name was Richard. Father McAleer. He's a charismatic healing priest. And I do think that he's a good one. Who else? What else? There was other ones. There's a few other ones. And So the point of it, welcome, hi. The point of it is that in the monastery, being alone, what they call the cell, you're living in your cell, like a prison cell, except much, much more enjoyable. Um, and the prison cell depends. The prison cell is you have not the prison cell, the monastic cell. You have your quarters, right? You're alone here. So what that means is that in order for you to fully understand what it means to be with people, you have to have it in context. The only way that's possible is if you have a sense of healthy boundaries and acceptance of separation, right? The Buddha isn't separate from anything because he understands everything as it is. So that's the Buddha when he was under the Bodhi tree, went and sat there under the Bodhi tree and he was alone. And he would sit there and he sat alone with everything, right? So he was like, all right, so this isn't about me being in a relationship. It isn't about me maybe at all, or maybe the all is more important than the me, right? So the idea of it is with that understanding, he had the tests, the three tests, or I don't know how many there were. I'm assuming there were 7 for the 7 chakras. So he understood that going into this experience, where he woke up out of his over identification with the self, right? So then, demons and like a whole bunch of stuff that made him feel like, feelings. And then you go through, all this stuff. And then eventually you get to a place where you're like, okay, so yeah, amen, right? None of it is really that big of a deal, in the sense that I'm not interested in illusion, right? Illusion does not turn me on, right? I do not enjoy headaches, right? I do not enjoy projecting myself into an experience, right? I am the I am. And in that understanding, there's joy and there's enlightened consciousness. And then this is the question that I've asked. This is like a Buddhist homily, by the way. This is the question that I've asked is why? Why did the Buddha get up from the Bodhi tree if he was done? So to me, that is one of the most important questions, yes, but more importantly, energies. So for example, I feel that was just the energy of, the Buddhists like to call it compassion, unconditional love, right? Mercy, you call it mercy, grace, right? The Buddha could have sat there and been like eaten up, right, by the vines. Could have. But he didn't. He got up and he went to the river, and a beautiful woman gave him some milk and probably some rice. And then he went to the town. Oh, no, wait, that was before. Who cares? And he went to the town and he taught people all kinds of fun stuff. And then he did pass away. So this is essentially what he left with us. So what he left with us is, to me, the most important message of Buddhism, or of Buddha actually, is the 3 jewels. So in the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I'm working on the third one personally. I feel that the Buddha and the Dharma itself, they are part of everything that's going on individually, but without the third one, something is lacking, right? It just needs to be there. It just does. And so, but anyways, so I pray that you can find the resonance within you of these three jewels. I have two jewels. I have two jewels here. Oh, make it three. I've got Tiger's Eye, and I've got a big Master Healer quartz and a small Master Healer quartz. And they're all there together, buddies. So, anyways, so to me, I feel that takes away your sin. It takes away the distractions. So, for example, why do they call it an intentional community? What is the intention? So, for example, there are communities, but if they don't have a intention, then they will just be nebulous communities. When the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree, he was very clear in his intention. Okay? My intention is to actualize this, meaning this being me, my lifetime, my life path, and this whole planet, universe, right? That's me. So Buddha, Dharma, the Sangha. So yeah, I don't want to make this video too long. If you want a good mantra, the one that I like to use is Om Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. It translates as I am upholding the cosmic law. And to me, the important part of understanding reality actually is that it isn't a belief. It isn't even about quelching a belief. It's something that is ultimate in its essence. But this is the thing. What if you had an experience of the ultimate reality and it didn't go away? Meaning that you became that. So to me, that's basically what waking up is and what enlightened consciousness is. So anyways, I will leave it with that. God bless you. Ram. Om Shanti Ram. Thank you for tuning in.